Hello, YouTubers. This is my first video. Um, I've been trying to avoid this, but what I've been doing is I've been looking on the net because what I'd like to discuss is the Mandela effect on a series called Joe 90, which probably a lot of people don't remember these days. Might be more familiar with Thunderbirds, Space 1999, Jerry Anderson Productions. Joe 90 wasn't my favourite show. It was okay. It was all right. But anyway, I was giving it another go recently, and what caught my eye at the end of the show when they show the badge, which is you're not going to see it. I have to apologise again because this I wanted to do a voiceover on captions, but I don't know how to do it. So this is from a camera, and I haven't got a direct mic either, so hopefully the sound's going to be okay. I can't zoom in the way I'd like to. I could do it on this, but it's going to mess with things. So anyway, all those apologies. I'm just working with the best I got and what I know to do, because I'm surprised no one else has spotted this, really. I'm not going to go into the whole Mandela effect thing. If you're new to it, then you probably need to study some other ones. But what I'm talking about and what we'll get to is the residual effect. And one of the things we'll be looking at here is cartography and the way the maps changed. So, give you an example. Let's cut that down and move that out the way. No, actually, what I want. This is what I want. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is how the map of the world looks like today. What I'll be using for as a reference here, so this is a real-time map as we know it in this world. No map is perfect. They all have biases. It's all, political and what you want to put the purposes to. But this is a general map of what most people accept as the accepted reality. So obviously, South America, North America, Mexico, this what I like to call the land bridge between the two. Sorry about the countries involved, but yeah. And what I'll be using as a reference is Florida up here. Now, if you notice on this map, if we take the tip of Florida, and go down, it barely hits the west side here. So okay, fine. Let's cut this down again. And so what we're looking at in the residual of Joe 90, they have a spy agency in the show, and he is a spy. I don't know if you're familiar with it that much. But it's the world, it's an agency called WIN, which is World Intelligence Network. And for their crest, their symbol, they have a map of the world. Not surprising, maybe. But I think it is a residual. Let's have a look. I will take you to it. Let's get that out of the way. And here we go. Actually, let's put that there. Okay, this particular image is at the end of the show of show 1, where they first show you the symbol. It's by this time you might think George Lucas did quite well out of the toy thing with Star Wars, but this is after Thunderbirds. So the Andersons realized that you could make a lot of toys out of Thunderbirds is a good example. And I'm mentioning this because it will become relevant in the sense of why this residual should exist. But if you're unfamiliar with what the Mandela effect is, well, here's a good example of it. So here, now you could say this is a kids program, but we'll get back to that. But here's a map of obviously well, globe representation. North America, South America, and as you can see, there's on the new map. So what the difference is so this is more north and south, obviously going more towards the east from this representation. But on the new maps, well, new new to people that think this happened, and I'm one of them, I think. You get this dramatic difference. I could go to another image, but I'm going to stick with this one. But as you can see, this is more like northwest, and this is southeast. It's like it's crazy. But this is how a lot of people remember, and it used to look like. I don't know if it's perfect, but I remember maps looking more like this. And again, so let's take Florida. As I said, I'd use that as reference, and here we go. So you go down in a straight line, and there you go. Now you take Florida here. You go down in a straight line. Bit of a difference, I'd say. Okay, so let's work on this symbol a bit more and some Jerry Anderson stuff. Big fan of his stuff. Not all shows. I mean, Joe 90, okay. Secret Service, oh dear, that's not such a good one. Now, this came at the end of the show when Joe 90 asked for a badge. And I think actually what it does is it just cuts to this scene, which is more of a wall plaque. Now, the reason why I'm going to go into this so much is because when you see these residuals, my question is well, why do these residuals survive? When a lot of them don't, obviously. And that's what causes the contention. Some people think, well, you just got bad memory and whatever they want to think. But then we can point to stuff like this and say, well, look, I mean, okay, so the guy that did the artistic impression, you could say, well, he just got creative. He did, but it just so happens whoever it was did a map as most people remember it as. So that's a kind of funny coincidence, no? But I'd like to prove, if you're patient with me, that they wouldn't do that in a Jerry Anderson show. I'll take you to an image of, because the show I used to watch more of, and let's get to there, is, here we go, Stingray, which I used to watch. Whoops, there we go. I used to watch a lot as a kid. Now, Stingray was before Thunderbirds, and then Joe 90 was after Thunderbirds. And I used to watch this show a lot. Well, basically because I was younger. So there's that, but because it had a submarine in it. I kind of used to watch. That's a model of the boat. It's a bit ridiculous now, probably, but it was a submarine, so that's why I watched the show. Another submarine show I used to watch was Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and as you see, this has an even better submarine. It's like it's more, well, slightly more realistic, although it did have this flying sub that could fly into the air. In Jerry Anderson, in UFO, they had a submarine with a flying ship as well. Anyway, that aside, so let's go. Here we go. Uh, See, I never really watched Joe 90 when it was first out. It was, as I said, it wasn't my favorite show, but I watched this a lot. So if my memory was like, so this is a map as we know it today. Let's get back into view. It's pretty, well, this is enlarged on this one, but this is what you'd know. I think they call it the Mercator map. Yeah, and it's looks pretty good. You might say why did this one survive? Well, that's something I want to talk about. I mean, why did this one change? Because if the Mandela effect is real, then this originally would have been more like the Joe 91. But after the Mandela effect, this is this is how we know the world, and it's pretty accurate in that sense. So, I mean, yeah. So this is just a normal map miniaturized for the puppets. I'll get this screen. Yeah, here we go. Now, if you're familiar with Jerry Anderson shows, you'll know that obviously things had to be miniaturized a lot in scale with the puppets. But when you're not looking at the puppets directly, you can just make something big. So this cuts away to this scene. So this would have been normal size, and anyone familiar with the shows will know that you will know that they did that fairly often. Like in Thunderbirds, I think it was they cut to a scene where someone's got to turn the radio on. So suddenly you see this real radio in a car and a real hand turning it on. And if you want proof, if you really need that, they really went to with the Secret Service. You had the real actor Unwin, I think, somewhere, who so you see him in you see the real actor in the car leaving his house, and then you see a model of the actor in a model car on a model road. So it really it's kind of bizarre. You don't see that in any of the other shows. I don't know what that's all about, but that wasn't one of my favorite shows either. But some people liked it. But so why did this image survive, and why do some other images survive? That's the question. Now, yeah, it's going to get probably a bit. I've got a theory for what it's worth, and it's probably going to get a bit technical here. So you've seen why some other images have survived, because that's. I'm not saying I'm necessarily the first to have this theory. There might be others out there. I haven't come across them myself. Just like I haven't come across this Joe 90. Well, I've come across a program Joe 90, but not anyone who seems to have brought this up. People in the Jerry Anderson Club of Joe 90 and other shows, they must have noticed something about this. And I can prove that because, well, this is another reason why I want to go into detail on this one, because they produced toy images of this. And what I'd like to go through is some of that stuff. And interestingly, I think for people who are studying the Mandela effect, I think I found a hybrid, one which is it's not quite the old, it's not quite the new. Excuse me. So that's another reason why I'm going to go into depth in this. I'll try and make it as short as I can, though. It's already too long. Anyway, again, why did it survive? Why is this residual image here? I think when I initially first looked at this, there's this kind of raised edge here. It's like so it's like this is flat and it's got a sloped edge. And again, I thought that they might have made a proper prop. Probably, let's slip in again. Probably about the size of, in paper terms, an A4 or A3. And then I thought, well, maybe this is flat and it's got like a plastic dome or glass over it. And excuse me, what I think now is that it's neither of them exactly. I think this is a completely painted flat image, but they've put this lens flare type, like light in here and some shadows around there to give it some 3D effect, so to make you think it's a real model. There's some shadow around the writing, but that's just the way they did a lot of if you look at a lot of signs then and now, they have sort of this. I think they got a term for it, but I can't remember what it is. In some of the images, we'll look. Some of them have this, some of them don't. But anyway, so forget about that. So where they've been clever, as far as the photography goes for this show, is they've put this on to give it to make it look like it's in the room, like there's lighting coming from it and hitting that, and they're giving it a shadow. And like I say, I can't prove it. Maybe people on the production show, if they're still around, will know how it's done. But I think this is just a flat painting. But what I think is, because of this is why the image is still here. So I better go into some theory. I'll try and get it done as quick as I can. We don't know what causes the Mandela effect. And whoever is doing whatever they're doing to the world, because it's not just cartography, it's movies, it's books, it's across the board, it's life as we know it. Some think we're in an alternative universe type thing, and so we don't know who's controlling it, and they're not likely to tell us if there is something going on. So we can only theorize. Now, my thinking is that, what if it was some sort of AI that's looking at all these things and doing the changes? So if two realities were colliding with one another, there would obviously be glitches, but it seems like up to a point, whatever's doing it has some sort of say over it or control, or sometimes lack of it, as in this case. The reason why I say like an AI computer type thing is because you probably need something like that to process everything you've got to process in the world. Something almost godlike, but being AI, it's like if you had a conversation on with a computer over a phone, and it's like the most advanced. It could probably, if you didn't know you was talking to a computer, it could probably just about pass for a human if you didn't know otherwise. Now, what I think happened was that if my theory has any relevance at all, is it looked at this image, and it's kind of like caricatures. So so you might have you might do a photo of someone, and then obviously so you might get an artist to paint a picture of yourself, and then he says to you, well, I can do fun stuff as well. Do you want a quick caricature? And you do that. Now, the caricature is the caricature. It's an exaggeration of things. It's for fun. And being that this would especially work if this is because if that was a reflection, it might have said, "Oh, it's a reflection." See, any human looking at it would say, "Well, that's the world, and we need to change it to we need to change it to this one." If you was in the process of doing all these changes, sort of like get rid of that, change to that, and for the most part, it did that. But then it looked at this, and it couldn't quite. It saw a vandalism of a type or a caricature. Because so there's the funny thing. It's intelligent enough to know that sometimes someone might just do a picture of a world which is fictitious. So it's like, well, I can't change everything to that, because then people you wouldn't have to argue, is there or isn't there a Mandela effect? You'd say, oh, I made up a totally random map and it's now resembling this, So I think this ruined it for it, and it just. I don't know if it was in a hurry to make a decision as these processes were going on, or whether it just, for some reason, lacked the it just couldn't figure it out, so it left it. Okay, so let's go into some toy stuff, badges of this. So I don't want Stingray again. Yeah, okay. Right. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to mention this is International Rescue, and I'm not sure I can. You'd have to click on the image for yourself, because I don't know if I can. I can. I don't think I'm getting it bigger or any than that without messing with the setup here. But going along with the theory that something is getting in the see. So if this hand wasn't here, this would represent this world here would have changed to this one. Oh, no, I don't want you to do that. It would have changed to this one. But if you again, if you well, his hand's kind of getting in the way, and I can't blow it up here, but you'll have to believe me that Florida is just under that thumb there. And if you take the straight line, it's going. So this is the old world map. And again, why this one survived, I think, is because this hand's got in the way. So the AI or whatever it is that's making these decisions. Now again, a human being would just say, well, I know that's the world behind it. Let's change to that one, but it didn't. And this is again another example of residual. And it didn't change to that. But if you're thinking, well, it's just the whoever's making the show got it wrong. But we go back to Stingray, and this is a show that was made before all the others. Jerry Anderson, yeah, he made fantasy shows and Things of Tomorrow and all that, but I think they knew how to copy a map. So I don't see any reason why it should be this old map as we know it. So I mean, there's your proof of that. And again, I think the reason why this was changed, there is this template thing in the way, but that is not that is if this was real life, that would be a movable thing, and it's for starters, it's in the middle, so it's not too bad. But it kind of recognizes that this is an overlay, so it changed it to the modern day map. But my point is, this is a show way before Thunderbirds and Joe 90. Well, a few years anyway. And okay, I wanted to go here to. All right, let's. Now, what's interesting about that light effect is, Again, this is why I think it survives, and what was also a mistake by the Andersons, I believe. Because, okay, so this is, we know where this image comes from, that comes from the show, and you have this light effect here. But then they've transferred this light effect over to the badges. So these are all toy badges. If I click on that one, here they've kind of made it look like a kind of cloud. But so it's like someone's, so I think what happened here is they took that one, if you can just about see it again, and they used it as a template. You know, it's like they photostated it or whatever, and they used it as a template, and they said, here you go. We want all the other images to represent that badge, which would have been fine, except that they forgot to take that off. So you don't really need that on here. And to prove that it doesn't really work very well, and it shouldn't be there in the first place, is here's a patch one. So they've put that thing there, but as you can see, it doesn't work on this one. Whoever did this one, I think they just took the photocopy and put it over, but it kind of destroys. So I mean, this is a nonsense map because it's kind of destroyed North America. But you could say, well, that is the symbol, but I don't think it is. And another. So this is either metal or plastic, and what they've done is they've done a sort of inverse thing here. So they've scooped up. So they've kind of raised that by going down, if you see what I mean, by scooping this out. But they realised that with this, you know, it's like, well, are we going to put that thing in?